they're expanding again. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly mod collection demo shop update, but first we got a little bit of Gibson news. You know the Nashville Gibson Garage and how big of a success it's been? A lot of people have traveled all over the world to visit that. They've had special limited editions like the Korina set and the Murphy Labs Greeny Collector's Edition. Well, apparently they want to start spreading this joy all over the world, and their next stop is in London. It's set to open in early 2024, and until then we don't really have too much more to say, but that gets me thinking, will they get their own separate limited edition sets when they do garage exclusive limited editions? Or will that just help open it up to the whole world? But Gibson has really been expanding that whole direct to consumer market. Because we've got the USA demo shop, the European demo shop, the UK demo shop, the USA mod collection, the European mod collection, Gibson Garage Nashville, and soon to be Gibson Garage London. But now let's get into the fun of this week. Kicking things off with Dark Phantom Satin. Does this one look familiar? Yeah, we documented one that was very similar to this. It just wasn't quite as dark, and I personally thought it reminded me of Danny Phantom. So it's funny to see one show up with the same name again, but this one is really dark, but they changed it up a little bit more than just that. You've got an uncovered bridge pickup, it's been all blacked out, although you still have your regular pick guard there. I feel they needed to paint that blue as well. But check out that neck pickup. It has Gibson printed on it, and since we've got the adjustable pull pieces in the opposite orientation that we normally associate them with, and the cover is position specific, you're forced to keep that orientation or completely change out your pickups. So back in 1972, there were Gibson embossed pickup covers, and that was one of the big reasons why a lot of people didn't like them. It made the pickup position specific, or at least that's what the internet says. Other than that, it looks like we got the black knurled knobs. It's completely widowed out, so that means the binding was painted over, as well as your Gibson inlays. And the back also has all the bursts. It was pretty chunky at 10.5 pounds, but very fairly priced at $5,500. But how about this insane SG? They called it Disco Static, and static is right. I'm sure the disco effect is more so prominent in person, but in photos it just looks like you're looking at a TV. But it looks like they left pretty much everything else alone. What would be a really cool modification is if you could get inlays that look exactly the same with the disco sparkle, because they stand out too much this way. But nice, it was a complete refinish, top, back, and sides, and priced as such at $3,000. Next, we got a little bit crazy with an SG special. And by crazy, I mean we added a middle P90. They wired it up with 3 volumes and 1 tone control for the maximum tonal potential. I'm digging that really dark rosewood fretboard though, it matches great with the finish. Triple P90 guitars, you don't see them too often, in Gibson's lineup anyway. They weren't too crazy with their price at $1,700. To follow that up, we've got Robot Cop. It's an Explorer Custom with gold hardware, but it looks like it's a really dark gray finish. That looks good. You don't see enough dark grays on guitar, it's always ebony. But hey, hold the phone there. It has a matching headstock. Cool, I missed that on launch day. It appears to have a little bit of sparkle flake in it too, which likely means the body is the same. So this really reminds me of an old finish from the 80s called Charcoal Metallic. It looks like that was a complete gloss refinish. It was offered at $4,800, which is technically a discount. Next up, we've got a Les Paul Classic in Blackberry Burst Satin. It kind of reminds me of like a Slash signature guitar with the double uncovered pickups and a really dark and bursted hue. You've got the creamy binding playing a role in the color scheme, regular headstock, and the back's just straight up red. Next, we had a Tribute at $1,500 in Deep Forest Green. Looks like they upgraded us to Birchbucker pickups, but I would say I like that finish. It's pretty nice. And it's looking like we might have natural back and sides. Yes, we do, and it's got the maple neck because it's a Tribute, so that explains your color differences up here. But I would bet this is what made it a factory second. They went a little bit too crazy with their stain job there, or at least that's what it looks like. There's also a standard 60s in Amber Triburst Satin. It's got a pretty nice top. And then a green chill 70s Flying V. That would go really good in like a surf rock band. Just needs a little surfboard decal back here. Alright, so a few good ones this week. Now let's check out the EU mod collection. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff isn't selling for them. It's just us Americans that like the crazy factory modifications. But to be fair, they haven't really offered anything too insane to them. This week we had the Banana Cream Pie Les Paul special. They gave it a regular Les Paul pickguard and didn't really touch much of anything else. And then we had a Ebony Classic that they changed knobs and pickups on. And nothing against the 490R 490T series, but I would actually see that as a downgrade as compared to the regular Classic pickups. But now the USA demo shop. This thing's pretty cool. A Seafoam Mint Satin 63 Les Paul Custom SG reissue. You don't see this color every day on one of these, so it was a refreshing sight. No crazy stingers or anything, but honestly, you don't need it when you've got a cool finish like this one. That's like a really clean, even satin finish. Next up, I didn't think this was too bad of a deal on a 57 reissue, because they're a little over 5,000 brand new, so 3,700 stamped as a demo. I didn't say anything too crazy with this, some unevenness with the VOS finish, but this is actually a dark back. But that serial number font style looks a little smaller than normal, but it could just be the photo. There's a 64 335 reissue in Brunswick Hawaiian blue gloss. We've seen one of these before. They just look black in the stock photos until you actually click on it, and then you adjust the contrast and you go, oh, okay, it's blue sparkly. It's really the back photo that helps you see it all though. But it doesn't look like this one has the matching headstock. There's kind of an interesting Appetite Gibson. Doesn't look anything like the Appetite Burst, but this is just Gibson USA production. It doesn't necessarily have to. It's just kind of an interesting blister top with a little bit of flame figuring. It's cool in its own right. This Ebony custom, I just wanted to share it because of an interesting blemish. I'm not even sure what that is. I would imagine it's just like a paint splotch that they didn't catch during the painting process, but I found it mildly fascinating. And then our hand select 50s top, 2,500 bucks. They played with our pickups, kind of made it look Jimmy Page in style. I like the top on this, nice and wavy. And then there's this extra wide part. It might look like a dead spot in the photos, but you can just tell by the way it's slightly darker here that it will also change in the light quite considerably. And the back was red. Now our two overseas demo shops are still offering the free Maestro pedal on any purchase, but they had some 335s and acoustics this week. The only thing that really stood out to me were two Firebirds. Look at this beautiful cherry one. It's got some light dancing in the wood. It looks like it's one of the original collection Firebirds, judging by the serial number going back to this style of serial instead of the leading 19. However, I don't remember the original collection ones coming in the cherry color, but these have been selling for like 2,500 in the US. So the fact that this one just has a couple of blemishes, nothing too crazy, makes it a really good deal in that market for 19. And then they had a Firebird Studio for $11.50. It's not a traditionally spec'd Firebird by any means, but if you don't necessarily want to pay huge big money for the 60 specs, I bet these things would be pretty fun if you go into them with a managed expectation. I wouldn't mind reviewing one. And lastly, our UK demo shop. They just dropped a whole bunch of Les Paul standards on us, such as this hand select 50s top, another one in 60s, then we got this Heritage Cherry, and then lastly, a Les Paul Classic. Take a look at this. It was titled Gibson Les Paul Custom Gold Sparkle Top. What are you expecting? You know, something like this, a gold sparkle top Les Paul, like from this 2000s run or what I did a rock or not on? No, let's reveal. It's Silverburst. Okay, it's a sparkle Silverburst that they took the pickup covers off on, and they replaced the chrome hardware with gold hardware. You do not see gold hardware on a Les Paul Custom Silverburst almost ever. I mean, there's been a few small runs, but typically you don't think gold with silver on these. But then when you get to the back, it's black, which at first I was sad, but you gotta think, sparkles are great in a small quantity. It's like, you know, check out these reviews for the Sparkle Top Deluxes. What makes those things so beautiful as compared to like the 2000s era sparkle standards and customs where they go all out everywhere is, in my opinion anyways, sparkles are best done in moderation. But you could also say that this harkens back to the original prototype Silverbursts done up in 1977. They had black backs. I did this for you guys. I took the plunge. I was the lucky one that got to buy it. You can see my order number right there. I am hoping this thing looks explosive in person. So it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's basically a Silverburst finish, which you can see right here, but when you get it in the light, it's got gold sparkle flakes underneath it. So if you kind of look at it at an angle, it just kind of all turns gold. I'm sure the B-roll shots, especially the dark one, will help you guys see this. And I was also talking in that other episode that I'm sure a lot of people will think it's rather a shame that they didn't burst the back and burst the sides and burst the neck and the back of the headstock. But the way I see it is,
this finish is really over the top. Like there's even sparkles within the black finish right here. So the black also turns a gold color at certain angles. So if this whole entire thing was sparkly, I think it would have been distasteful, like a little bit too much of sparkles. So I think ultimately I agree with their decision to not burst the entire thing, even if it wasn't because of that. Maybe it was just a cost savings feature.
Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day, and you might even enjoy this next one.